So we got 3 more common passenger Uber and Lyft scams for you today. Hey everyone, Chris here from Real Rideshare Stories. On this channel, we do a lot of different things within the gig economy, mostly in the rideshare industry, with tips and tricks, bad driving caught on camera, and most importantly, what happens inside the car during actual rideshare rides. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Before we get started, if you have a crazy Uber or Lyft experience, whether you're a passenger or driver, or even just a crazy experience that happened within DoorDash or Instacart or UberEATS or any of them, send it my way, and maybe you could be featured on the channel. All right, so we got 3 more scams that passengers try to pull on Uber and Lyft drivers or rideshare drivers in general. Now, I did do a previous video on this with 3 different scams. I'll put a link in the description below, so make sure you check that video out as well. But let's get into the 3 scams that I have for you today that you should definitely watch out for. All right, so the first scam I'm going to talk to you about is a scam that you won't even know happens on the ride at all, and you may not even know that the scam happened, period. This is one of the reasons why you want to check your recap and check what rides you took and take note of that stuff, because this is a scam where the passenger will call into Uber or Lyft or another rideshare platform to either get a reduced rate on what it was cost them or the ride for free entirely. So I'm going to break that down for you a little bit to what it would be to the original estimated value. And this could be where the passenger says, hey, can you take me to this spot real quick? It's kind of on the way, whatever it might be. And it'll add time, it'll add money, and it'll add distance. So ultimately, they're going to be paying more. But what they can do is they'll call up Uber or Lyft and they'll say that you took the wrong route or you took too long or something happened, and they will adjust that route to what it originally was quoted as. Also, the other thing that they could be doing is just saying to take an entirely different route. So maybe they didn't want to go on the highway, but they wanted to go on a different route, or vice versa. It could have been quite a few different things where they're trying to change the route from what the map actually says. So that is definitely something that you need to watch out for, and you need to check what the ride was and then go back and just double check after, maybe on the payout side when that happens, just to make sure that everything is correct, because you won't know that that took place. Now, a way that they try to get free rides is that they will actually call up Uber or Lyft and say that you appeared to be tired and falling asleep at the wheel, appeared to be intoxicated or driving erratically, and a whole different range of things that they might call up and say that you were doing. And this is the importance of having a dash cam, because if they call up and they say these things, one, it's going to completely take away all of your pay for that, and they'll essentially get a free ride. But if you have this backed up information's data in the form of a dash cam, you know, it's going to be very hard for them to say and show these things. Now, this did happen to me once where somebody had a longer ride that they didn't want to pay for, and they called up the company, and I'm not going to say which one it was, but they called up one of the rideshare companies that I drive for and said that I appeared that I was sleeping or tired behind the wheel. And right after this ride happened, I took one more ride, and then I knew exactly what ride it was because it was a longer ride. Immediately, I called the company and said, hey, what is going on here? I emailed them just before that too, so it was all on record. And then I actually, like I said, called them and talked to somebody right away. And they said that, well, during this time, I was deactivated while it was under investigation. And I told them, I said, I have the dash cam footage to prove I wasn't sleeping behind the wheel or appeared tired at all. In fact, I was pretty alert. My eyes were shifting, looking all over, making sure, checking the mirrors, checking behind, you know, watching the road. And so they kept me offline for about 36 hours or so, and just sent me an email saying, "Oh, the matter's been resolved, and here's an extra $100 for the problem." So that was pretty cool that I got recouped some money, but it was still a pain because it was basically the second ride of the night that I took, and it turned off that app. So I couldn't drive for that app or for that platform for the 36 hours that it was done. At least on the other platform I could drive. So I'm not going to name what they were. Maybe a different time in a different way I will. But that's something definitely to look out for and watch out for. Now, if they call and they say that you appear intoxicated, that you appear sleeping, or that you appear to have driven really erratically or bad or unsafe or whatever it might have been, they're going to immediately email you as well and kind of get that side of the story, because they will put it under investigation. They do want to know what your side of the story is. And like I said, it's definitely another reason why you should get a dash cam. All right, so scam number 2, passengers paying in cash or trying to pay in cash. There's a lot of things around this issue that goes against terms and conditions on paying in cash and a lot of things like that. So one of the scams you'll know right off the bat is it might be a passenger getting in your vehicle that's trying to pay in cash, and they could come up with some type of story, but basically it's just them saying, "Hey, will you take me here for this amount of money?" You don't want to do that at all, because that could be somebody who works for one of the platforms and to do quality assurance, but also it's against terms and services of both Uber and Lyft and can get you completely deactivated. So it's not worth it to take other people. Another bad thing about that is if you're doing this and you get into an accident, your insurance company can say you were taking a fare and we don't cover you in that type of situation. And because you don't have the rider that would Uber or Lyft would cover you under, then it's all up to you and it's coming out of your pocket. And it's just something that you want to avoid. It's also illegal in some areas to do that. In New York State, it's actually illegal to take cash rides if you're not a taxi. If you're a Uber or Lyft driver, and we only have Uber or Lyft in upstate New York. In New York City, it's a little bit different where they have different regulations, but in upstate New York and the areas that I drive, it's actually illegal and you can't take that. You can't take cash for it. Now, where you can take cash is for tips. So when it comes to cash tips, I actually talked to Uber and Lyft about this, and cash tips are okay. It is recommended through the app, just that everything is cashless, and that was kind of the basis of it. But cash tips are okay as long as they are tips and tips only. And actually, one of the little underlying things there is you actually have to ask if this is a tip or clarify that it is a tip. I had a back and forth email conversation with one of the platforms about that, and they actually said that you need to make sure it is tips. And the reason why is because a passenger can actually call up and say that they gave you cash to pay for the ride, and that's going to be another scam within the cash or paying cash scam. So you need to clarify that it was a tip, even though it sounds redundant and you think that it just is common courtesy at the end if somebody hands you a cash money, that it would be just a tip. So yeah, you do have to clarify. And that is kind of a weird thing, at least I thought. But again, it's a way to cover yourself if a passenger calls up and says, I gave them X amount of dollars towards this ride in cash, and then Uber or Lyft will actually deduct that cash from that ride. And this can be something I've heard up to 6 months away. So you definitely want to make sure that you clarify it is cash tip, and then that way it's okay. Also, again, recording that on a dash cam to show is going to be another thing. So that's definitely something you want to, another reason why you want to have a dash cam. All right, and here's scam number 3, which this actually is kind of tied in with the calling in after the ride is over, so it's kind of related to scam 1. But I feel that it's such a big enough scam that it needs its own recognition, at least in this video. And that's basically a passenger that you've taken that will call up Uber or Lyft and say that you picked up the wrong person and try to get a free ride. That is something I think needs to be recognized for itself, because that is a major, major scam, that they're literally in the car, or they ordered for a friend or family or whoever, and saying that you picked up the wrong person so they get the ride for free, or that they don't have to pay for the ride that were going to pay for a family or friend. So that is a really shady practice. And again, that's just another thing on when a person gets in the car to verify their name, verify where they're going, and wording it in such a way that they're the ones who are answering. Maybe you say, hey, what's the name on it? Or where are you going? Or just to make sure where you're going. And just a couple of different ways you can do it. So if you have that dash cam, again, like I say, you can definitely fight that, and they'll be at fault, and you'll be able to claim the money that's rightfully yours, that other people are trying to scam you out of. All right, so that was 3 more scams that passengers try to do with Uber, Lyft, and the drivers. So it's definitely something you want to pay attention to and you want to watch out for. Again, don't take cash for rides, whether it be starting the ride or clarifying at the end of the ride that it is a tip, even though that part seems redundant. Again, it's just to kind of cover your own ass. Also, make sure you pay attention to your rides after the fact, because of passengers calling in and saying that this or this or this or whatever might have happened to try to get that reduced rate, or to try to get the ride entirely for free. So with that being said, that's the end of today's video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified every time a new video is uploaded. And as always, never drink and drive, always tip your drivers, and we'll see you next time.
Still watching? That's all right. This video might be over, but the fun doesn't have to be. Video up top, if you click that, that'll take you to the last video that we just did. And the video down below is what YouTube thinks you should watch. If you're not a subscriber yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button right over here, and we'll see you next time.